Can you all hear me? Let me know in the live chat, please. Something went wrong right when the intro was going, but if you can hear me and see me, let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And okay, let me know in the live chat if you can hear me, please. Thank you very much. I'll be waiting for your answers. Let me see. Can you hear me? Okay, okay, good. Finally. Well, tonight's live is about a disturbing topic, as I mentioned before, skinwalkers, or those fallen wandering angels who from time to time harass human beings in what we consider a sexual way. Okay, by the way, this live stream is 18 plus YouTube, so I don't hear any complaints later on. And if those on 18 should be informed about this, the parents should decide over that. Okay, so that's a legal disclaimer right over there. But before I continue, how many of you ever heard stories? I'm not talking about things from YouTube or the internet or movies, but how many of you ever heard stories of women around you who had weird sexual encounters? Weird sexual encounters. How many of you heard such stories before? Let me know in the live chat. Because in almost every culture, you have such stories that come up. Now, when such stories come out, what people often do, they tend to bury them. Say, well, it was just a fiction, it was just a portion of your imagination, or you were just a bit dissatisfied during the sex, so you're making things up. People try to mask it because they say this is quite weird. Well, let me tell you one thing. This whole thing of skinwalkers harassing human beings, often females, in this horrible way has been going on for you say thousands of years. It's nothing new. The first time it occurred, you can read about Genesis chapter 6, it's when some of the fallen angelic kings took on a metaphysical state and they invaded the earth, raped millions of females, including many animals, brought forth the Nephilim. Then the flood of Noah came to cleanse the earth genetically. Then those angelic beings, together with others that joined them, were kicked out of heaven. And now you have the Nephilim without bodies on the earth roaming around. And all those angelic beings who participated in this mass rape on the earth, they're now have their own diseases haunting them and all of that. And the other ones were kicked out with them. They're quite scared. But you always have those wandering spirits who still want to assault a human being, often female, just to act out the anger against what God made. So such things happen. Okay. Now, in this live stream, I call it paranormal humping. Why am I calling it paranormal humping? Because I'm not going to call this thing sex because it's not in design with what Heavenly Father designed. It goes against the nature of sexuality, so we don't call it sex. It's paranormal humping. That's how I'm going to call it. Okay. And that's a term I'll use from now on when we discuss this topic on this channel. Paranormal humping. That's all it is. Um, simple it is out there. Now, I have a PowerPoint over here, which I'm going to shift towards. So I'm going to share the screen and hold on. Yes, I'm going to share the screen right now with you. Um, all right. Please let me know if you can see the screen, please. Thank you very much. For some reason, I cannot put it full screen because if I put it full screen, I lose everything in front of me. So we're not going to do that. So, okay, what's the content today? Hold on a minute. What does it work? Okay, it works. I'm going to explain the difference between the metaphysical and the physical. I think I wrote this wrong. My bad. Physical versus physical. So I'll explain the difference to what's metaphysical and how why does it look so similar to the physical. Then I'm going to explain the difference in natural intercourse versus paranormal mating. You can also call it mating if you want, instead of humping. If you think humping is too derogatory. And I'm going to tell you the patterns of paranormal assaults so I can recognize it and the countermeasures, what to do about it. So, all right. Now let's begin with the first one over here. Oh yeah, I need to click over here. My bad. Okay, metaphysical. My God, I typed this too quickly. No excuse. Here it is. First, the physical. Now, the physical realm is a default natural state. The earth realm is a default state here in this realm. So, physical things are just that physical things. It's a natural state. Our bodies are physical. We are multidimensional creatures. We're spirit beings with a physical extension. So we are not material beings. Our materiality is an extension of us. Okay, we are spirit, but with a physical extension. But the physical body still has its natural component to it. So the physical is a natural state. The physical is solid, or you can call it dusty. Okay, so it's not you. For example, if you have a rock and then you have a piece of iron, it's both physical, but the conditions are different. You can't just change a piece of metal into a piece of rock. That fluidity does not exist in the material realm. So things are solid and dusty over here. All right. So that's why God made Adam from the dust of the earth. Now the physical is surrounded by water. Water, you have water above. That's the clouds in the atmosphere and all of that, and you have water on the surface as the seas, oceans, rivers, all of that, and you have water below. The physical is surrounded by water. Without water, the physical cannot function. Important to remember this. And the physical has natural cycles involving water and sunlight. Now, females have an extra cyclical nature, namely they have their periods. That's when they're in the younger years. So human beings live in the earth realm. You have natural physical cycles, like cycles of the weather or cycles of the climate. That is how it works. So the physical sustains itself. The physical is sustainable. All right? Now, what is the metaphysical? Now, the metaphysical is not the spirit state. Okay? The metaphysical is a transition state. See it like this: an angelic being consists out of spirit matter, not physical matter. Spirit matter is fluid. With fluid, I mean you can shift between the type of spirit matter quite easily. So the metaphysical is when an angelic being wants to make itself as physical as possible. That's how I can explain it, as physical as possible. And it's on an electric level, because remember, the earth realm is a union, and its union, you have the electromagnetic field of the earth, which is the earth's energy field that keeps things running. So when an angelic being enters the earth realm, he can swallow up the electromagnetism of the earth, and with that he transitions into a transitional state called the metaphysical, in which he appears as solid as dust and the salt as physical matter, but it's just in an electric fluid state. The metaphysical, because of this, is the void of water. So if angelic being wants to appear more natural in a metaphysical state, it needs to usurp a lot of, it means to swallow up some of the moisture in the atmosphere also, whether it's from the clouds or whether it's from actual water from the well or whatever. They need to absorb the water from the environment because there's no natural water within them. The metaphysical is static or robot like. Why? Because the physical is, even though it's solid and dusty, the water makes it functional and there are cycles in it. The metaphysical is not a natural state, it's a transition state. So now you understand the difference between physical and metaphysical. All right. And before I continue, is it clear to you that with metaphysical, it is not meant just the physical realm? With metaphysical, it doesn't mean the spiritual realm, I mean. Some people think, oh, the metaphysical, that's a spiritual world. No, it's not a spiritual world. It's a state of operation that angelic beings can choose. Now, this state of operation does not come without its risks. There are risks to this, absolutely. So, what do you think those risks may be? I'll give you 1 minute to answer this. What do you think the risks are by operating in the metaphysical state? I'll give you 1 minute to answer. What do you think? There are no wrong answers. What are the risks operating in this state over here? Human beings cannot operate in this at all because we're multidimensional. Angelic beings who are interdimensional can switch between the dimensions. We cannot. Hold on. Yeah, it's extremely high risk. Someone says possession. Well, to stay in that state, well, it's not possible to actually be stuck in that state forever. That's not a possibility. So look at it from that part. Let me give you an example of what a risk may be. What if people figure you out? Because think about it. A human body is mostly designed by the Heavenly Father. Okay? When you smile, your muscles move a certain way. When you walk, you have various muscles at work at the same time. For an angelic being to imitate all of this, they will have to use their own mind to mimic all of these movements. And once people figure out that you're not actually human, but you're something else, hysteria. And remember, in this realm, human beings are the natural um, dominant species. So even angelic beings can get in danger. They're immortal, don't get me wrong, but they can be endangered nevertheless if human beings become hysterical towards them. That's why in Sodom, when the crowd tried to rape those two angelic beings, they put blindness on them. Simple as that. Um, I need to share another screen with you in which this will get a little bit clearer. So hold on 1 minute. All right. Let me share this screen over here. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see the illustration on the screen? The reason I'm asking this because I want to be sure that I'm not speaking in vain. Okay, okay. You guys can see it. Now, let's go over here. This is an angelic being in his original shape. Remember, they have no bodies, only a shape. he has no energy field because angelic beings have no energy field. Why? Because they are light beings. They feed off of the joy of the Lord in the heavens, and the joy of the Lord that they inhale and they eat up, the strength of the Lord that they eat up becomes a light inside them that shines brightly. All right? Let's say you have this angelic being, okay? He has a trumpet in his neck, he's a musician in heaven, okay? He descends down to earth. Here, he begins to absorb the electromagnetism of the earth. And you can see here, this what you see around him here is electromagnetic potential of the earth. He begins to swallow it up. And while he swallows it up, eventually it becomes internal to him and it develops a denseness to it, an electric denseness that's then filled up with moisture from the environment. And that's how eventually it will get a human like physical appearance, like you see over here. So when you see this figure walking down the street, you think, oh, it's just a guy who came from work. But you have no idea it's an actual angelic being in a metaphysical state. Now, through your human eyes, this appears just like any other one on the streets. So this is shape shifting over here. Shape shifting is a natural ability of angelic beings. Whole angelic beings shape shift from time to time when they operate on prophet and heavenly Father, ministering unto believers, even have it in the Bible. Remember when Abraham and Sarah, I know whether they were cooking or whatever, but three men came to talk to them. But the man in the middle ended up being the Lord in human form, and were two holy angelic beings with the Lord. Remember that encounter? Well, those two angelic beings, they shape shifted by transition to the metaphysical state. But as you can see here, there's no energy field. Human males have a big energy field around them. Only angelic beings or fallen angels or angelic beings in general, when they shapeshift, there's no energy field. There's only this magnetic haze around them. It's not an energy field, it's just some fog that's around them. That's something they can't mask. They can't mask this fog around them. So always remember that. All right. Now, our topic today was about paranormal humping. So 18 plus. I just said it, so I don't want YouTube to flag this live stream, whatever. So paranormal humping, and here is natural sexual intercourse. Let's start with the natural that God designed. In natural sexual intercourse, by the way, can you guys all see this? Because I don't mind repeating things, but I rather do it all at once. Also because it's night over here, and I want to keep this live stream short. But as possible, can you see this? The second illustration. If you only see two squares, then you need to renew your browser, please. Can you all see the illustration? Okay. Now, in natural sexual intercourse as God designed it, okay, you see the female below the blankets with her leg out and the husband behind her. In natural sexual intercourse, there is an energetic transfusion that happens because you have the man with this big energy field laying there, and the man's energy field overtakes the female's energy field. Remember, a woman's energy field is shaped like a grape, like a grape or an olive. Okay, so her energy field is overtaken by the male's energy field, and together it forms like a dome, like a sky. It becomes above them. Okay, so what happens is that the man is the donator. The man not only injects semen during his physical peak, but he also infuse some of his life source into the female. Okay, so the female is received not only physically but also on a psychic level. And around the couple, there's electromagnetic heat because of the transfusion happens, which is an interaction. Okay, and in a natural intercourse, there is physical and psychic harmony. So the hormones of the man and the woman are both in harmony. Whether it's soft sex, intense sex, doesn't matter. This is the natural outworking of natural sexual intercourse. Now, some people say about sheep, but what if it's rape or sexual violence? A the natural mechanism is the same. But of course, if it's rape or sexual violence, there's going to be mental and emotional baggage afterwards. But during the intercourse, whether it's voluntary or not, there's always an energetic transfusion that happens. That's it. And that's why you have to be watchful who you have sexual intercourse with, especially you men out there. Guys, very quick warning, don't just lay with any woman just because her body is so exciting. Don't do that. Because if she is completely polluted energetically and you put your dick inside of her, you're donating your life source to her. And she ends up sucking your life source because of her depressed attitude. And there can be demons attached to her too, also going to suck you dry. So and listen, when you're being sucked dry during sex, you won't notice the effects immediately as a man, but weeks till years later, you can experience physical health issues as a result of it. And ladies, some warlocks have a type of ritual in which they transfer all their waste, their psychic waste, to a female. They would talk to a woman, go on a date with her, then have sex with her, and during the sex, they will chant their voodoo spell on her. And before you know it, the woman is suicidal. The woman doesn't want to live anymore, and the woman wants to jump off a bridge or throw herself off a building, whatever. People don't think what that happened to her. And then she says, "Oh, my boyfriend ghosted me," or "I dated a guy and he doesn't text me anymore." Well, that guy was a warlock who transferred all his waste, paranormal waste, onto you. Yes, there was an energetic fusion that happened, but the transfusion was a bad one because the guy was in a negative state. So also for you ladies, beware who you have sexual intercourse with. So have your own husband, whether it's in a polygamous setting that your husband has multiple wives, or it's a monogamous setting, have your own husband, please. That's the most safest sexual option for females. Men, by their build, can have multiple partners, but there comes risk with it, guys. Beware. Sex is not for free and it's not cheap. Remember that. I don't care what they teach you in those public liberal schools. No sex is for free. You always lose some of your life source as a man. You lose bodily fluid, whether it's sweat or semen, whatever. And also for a woman, it's always costly because the brain of the woman is wired because of the intercourse. Certain chemicals are made in the brain during the intercourse. So even the brain of the woman is wired by the sex she's having. So, ladies, anytime you have sex with a man, it has an effect on your brain. There's research about this. You can look it up for yourself. I'm not going into it right now. Okay? So, if you have sex with the wrong man, you can develop brain damage. Seriously. Okay, but this is how God designed it. Paranormal humping. Let's go to that crap over here. Now, remember what I said in the previous, hold on, in the previous thing over here. When angelic being shapeshifts, there is no energy field because it's not a human male. It's not a human being. It's shifted into a metaphysical state. So when you have one of those fallen angels as are roaming around and they want to make their assaults, this is what happens. You see the woman again under the blankets with her leg out. You can see she's a bit drained over here. It's for a reason because the figure next to her is drawing moisture from the environment to keep this soft, flexible movement. Because sexual intercourse requires flexible movement, especially from the men who are the donors. You get me? And that's quite a difficult thing for them to imitate. All right? So there's magnetic hovering happening around the entity. And this kind of chokes the female, but the female is not aware of it because she is being drained, but at the same time, she's infused with a lot of dopamine. the fake dick that the entity shaped, it can grow and decrease inside of her. It causes shocks throughout her nerve system that overwhelm her with dopamine. So while she's being drained and she doesn't notice the heaviness because her brain is filled with dopamine. That's extra brain damage. But that's another thing. Because remember, natural man has a human physical body that has moisture naturally in it. And the human male drinks water or he drinks other stuff. So when it comes to releasing fluids during sex, he will sweat from his skin and he will ejaculate semen. A skinwalker does not have natural moisture, so they get it from the environment. All right. So as you can see over here, the two happenings are quite different. This is natural, and this is an abomination. All right. Now, let me stop sharing that screen. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Share screen. Hold on. StreamYard, please work. Ah, yes. Here it is. All right. So I explained that over here for you with the two illustrations. So here you have an oversight of it again. Please, if you want to make notes, you can make notes, but also know you can later always watch the live stream back. Sexual intercourse, the natural, is dynamic, it's intertwined with psychological processes, emotions, feelings, social expectations. You have the donator, the one who donates, or donor, as it's called. Better, my bad. The donor, just the male who donates to the female, the receiver, whether it's physical, my God, demon or sweat, whatever, or energetic, or life source, emotional tension. It's community based because every human being has an ancestry. We're all derived from Adam and Eve, and we all have parents, grandparents, and you name it. So there's ancestry involved, social status, and social ties. Because look, your sexual preferences are shaped inside of you by the community. So sexual intercourse is always community based. It doesn't mean that the whole community joins to an orgy together, but it cannot be divorced from the community. Even hoeing around is based on the community. That's how God designed it. And it's procreative, the masculine intensity, and it's reactive, feminine softness. In paranormal humping, it's static and emotionally empty. Why? Because those skinwalkers or those roaming fallen angels, they hate females. They absolutely are disgusted by females. They have vomit tendencies when they see a woman, no matter how young or old she is. So they are not there for any enjoyment or whatever. They're there on assignment. So let's go further. Even as a woman, you will even notice this. There's not a donor because there is no life source being given to the female. The female doesn't get anything out of it. So there's an inserter, that's a skinwalker, and a female victim, which is a receiver. And remember, as I said over here, moisture is gotten from the environment, so the entity will generate a thick pudding-like fluid that's supposed to be the semen. But first of all, is pudding is like it has a pudding texture to it. So it's way too thick, and it comes in like a flood. And normal semen doesn't come in like a flood like that. Yeah, that's another thing. And it's way too cold also. Duh, because there's no bodily warmth over there with the skinwalker. And it causes hypertension in the female nerve system. I spoke about that already. There's the addiction that comes with it. It's intense. Because it's all based on addiction. There's no community involved. It's all an addiction that's triggered to the female. And repetitive. So it causes an emotional loop in the female's mind. Now, I'm going to the PowerPoint quickly, then I'm going to talk more. about it. So, what I want first for you to understand how these paranormal humpings even develop. How can it just happen like that? And how come some women don't notice it happen to them? Well, first of all, every woman will notice something is off. It's just that they're not aware what's off. All right. But let me explain one thing to you. Paranormal humping is a is an assault. Okay, because those creatures were kicked out of heaven. They're waiting in the lake of fire, and they should not seek any communication with human beings, especially communication in such a way that they're not designed to handle. All right. So this is how it works. You have the warming up phase. So the mind disturbance happening in your daily life. Maybe let's take for example, you have let's say you have Jenny or Joanna. Let's say use the name Jenny. Jenny notices that her car broke down. Then she takes the bus. The bus didn't arrive on time. Then she found out her phone crashed. So there are all those minor disturbances happening here and there on a regular basis. Now, that you have a minor disturbance in life is not a problem. It can happen. But if minor disturbances over and over again, that's not right. Something's wrong there. That's the warming up phase. So let's say now Jenny has minor disturbances for over like 2 or 3 weeks. This exhausts her, all those disturbances. Now, the disturbances are caused by tragedy spirits. Okay? Now, once the tragedy spirits are done, by the way, tragedy spirits are what we call gnomes or those dwarfs, those dwarf entities. So those are called spirits of fights. All right? When the tragedy spirits are done with the mind disturbances, when the woman feels so upset and fed up why her phone keeps breaking down, or why people keep staring at her in public in an angry way, or why she almost slipped up the stairs multiple times, now the woman's mind is shocked by why you have all those minor accidents keep happening to her. Now, if she is alert and admits that something paranormal is going on, that is over. That the whole operation fails. But if she disregards the red flags, then she became a collaborator with the paranormal violence. So she gave symbolic consent to what's going on. And because of that, her mind becomes numb because she doesn't pay attention to the red flags. Then you have the honeymoon phase. This is the phase where Jenny, for example, she goes to the nightclub or to a local bar and she sees this guy. And for some reason, there's something about the guy that doesn't add up. Her brain can't process it. And then she ends up talking to the guy. And as you know, she ends up telling how her past few weeks have been a mess, a chaos, all of that. And of course, the guy understands it fully. And very quickly, they end up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, or they end up moving in together, or whatever. That's the honeymoon phase. Suddenly, after meeting this guy, everything goes smoothly in her life. She doesn't have those mind disturbances anymore. She even has things work out better at the job, financial things go well. So she began to link things going well with her meeting this guy. She thinks, oh, I found my soulmate, or this is my twin flame, whatever. Or he's my Prince Charming, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the explosion phase. That's when the skinwalker suddenly disappears and everything falls apart around her. And she keeps wondering what happened to my ex-boyfriend, or what happened to my husband, or to my fiance, whatever. Well, lady, your mate was not from this realm, so you have a lot to process. But this is the cycle of how it goes. This is the pattern that it follows. If you notice the mind disturbances and you recognize, oh, this paranormal is over. There's no way a skinwalker can make a move if you figure out this disturbance, this is paranormal. As simple as that. This brings me to the countermeasures. Man, I wrote this way too quickly. So let's say it like this. First, pay attention to minor symptoms. Yep. Forgive me, guys. I was very quick with making this PowerPoint. But okay, the second point is be feminine and walk your femininity if you're a female. They create and enforce peace out of events. So if you're about to go to a party, or you're about to go to a musical performance, or you're about to go to church, whatever event you go ahead to, if you go to the beach, to create and force peace out of you. Then also admit your need for emotional gratification. It's normal for human being to want emotional gratification. Admit you have that need. Nothing wrong with it. Also, don't be stuck in the past worrying about your past errors because that can also make you vulnerable to paranormal assault. Going to therapy or counseling if you need to, and unlearn toxic expectations. That's the most important thing. Unlearn toxic expectations. Now let me say it like this. Someone asked, are skinwalkers invisible? How do they do these things without being seen? Now, first of all, let me go back over here. In these three, this is the transition, the metaphysical transformation from the spirit state to the metaphysical state. And when it reaches this, they are visible. All this before, they're invisible still to us, but you can feel that they're around. Now, understand this. Holy angelic beings only shapeshift when they have an assignment. They have no interest further to even be in the earth realm. But the fallen angels who are roaming around, some of them are just wandering spirits or roaming around in areas, and from time to time they want to assault some human beings. And there are times Satan gives into the craves and gives them an assignment. So skinwalkers, they don't look that good. They do not look good at all. So that is why I'm not even showing. I can show illustration of how skinwalkers actually look like in their fallen state, but I'm not sure if you all want to see that. But just understand, skinwalkers are fallen angels who are roaming around, especially near beaches or in certain urban areas. They're ugly looking, they're filled with diseases, and they murmur and complain that the God kicked them out of heaven. And sometimes Satan gives them the permission to go out and actually assault some females. So when you have a skinwalker make a move like that, he's on an assignment. And some skinwalkers end up staying long term with a female, even live with them on the same address. But now you may ask, Rashid, how is this possible? The guy has no history, he has no family, he has no mother, he didn't go to school. Well, there are warlock organizations out there who are established by Satan to help out skinwalkers. Now, what is the motive behind this whole thing of skinwalkers and and paranormal humping? The whole agenda is to occupy a woman who would otherwise be a benefit to her community. Because the thing is, not every misogynist human male wants to make effort disturbing a female. They don't. They did. Misogynist men love see women crash, but not a lot of them want to spend time bringing a woman down because they're human males. They're in a human community, and they can go to prison if they go too far. They have something to lose. A lot of those men have careers. They have things going for them. So Satan has those fallen angels who are immortal, and they can fake a human shape. They can even fake human sexual intercourse. So Satan has them around, and this is how it goes. When the demons notice that a woman has potential to benefit her community, demons now begin to trick her into doubts or into witchcraft, whatever. But if the demons see that this woman is not likely to fall for witchcraft and all of that, then they will try to bring a fake believer to her. But the fake believer is onto other things. So then the other option is the skinwalker. Now, again, the skinwalkers hate females. They don't want to be around females, but to prove their loyalty to Satan, they will put up with it. So that is why when you meet someone, not in just in a context of dating and sexual activity, when you meet someone, it's important to check what your intuition is giving off to you. That's one thing. And about those skinwalkers and their fake identities, there are warlock organizations out there where those skinwalkers can go to get fake passports, fake driver's licenses, fake diplomas. fake high school pictures. Yes, there are even companies out there where no human being is working, but you have skinwalkers walking in and out to pretend like they're going to work. Because imagine, for example, you have Tammy, for example. I don't mean the Tammy in the live chat right now. Let's say if a woman calls Tammy, and Tammy, uh, she is recently divorced and she wants to remarry, but she has a lot of experience to can benefit females in our community. And now the demons think, oh no, we don't want this. It's very hard to get her to fall for a bad guy. So let's bring Prince Charming to her. Let's bring a man that swipes her off her feet. The skinwalker comes, but hey, the skinwalker has no passport, he has no birth certificate, he has nothing. Tammy is going to run away, thinking, well, how come you have no history? So the skinwalker will go to some auto body shop in nearby, and the auto body shop has a few cars there, but it has no human customers. That auto body shop is just a front so that skinwalkers can go there and pretend like, oh, I'm a regular guy having a job. This is my employer over here. The employer is a warlock who's aware this is a fallen angel. A, there are companies out there that are empty all the time. Why do those empty companies exist? Why do they go out of business? Because they're sponsored by the shadow government, they're sponsored by the underworlds to give a fake identity for skinwalkers. So right now, especially with modern day technology, skinwalkers can fake being regular guys. They can fake being scholars, musicians, whatever, but they can't do it too openly, of course, because the skies will fall off. And a lot of people fall for it because a lot of people simply don't pay attention. So also they have a smell to them. Yes, they do. Often those skinwalkers they smell like burning sulfur, like burning ashes, or they have this weird stench of feces with them out of the blue. Of course, they mask this, but from time to time, out of the blue, this intense stench of feces or burning sulfur comes up to you. So beware of that. And understand this. Some say, what ranking are they? Well, I'm glad you said ranking in quotation breaks because Satan has no kingdom. It's all one big mess there in the paranormal. But skinwalkers used to be militia members. Because remember, the fallen angelic kings, which became the demon overlords, they need protection from the common population of demons. Because the common population of demons want to attack them all the time. So you have some of the fallen angels becoming militia members. They form militias called legions to protect the demonic overlords. And but some of those militia members realize after this, we're fighting 24/7. And for what? We're kicked out of heaven, and now we're fighting to prove who's the good guy over here. How come we're fighting to prove who's the good guy and we all were kicked out of heaven? What the heck is this? So some of those militia members, they leave the legions, they retire, and they just go around wandering the earth. But they're still angry, upset, and they still want to project all the blame on females. So some of them become skinwalkers. They do this twofold. One, to get sympathy, and second, they want to hinder and violate women as much as possible. Now, most skinwalkers never get the opportunity to do the act. But those who are quote unquote lucky, they go full for it. Fallen angels, they don't actually have a natural smell, but when they go into the metaphysical transformation, they develop this burning sulfur smell, like burning ashes, also, or like a deep stench of feces that can even make you knock out. For example, Ashtoreth, which is a fallen angel, a blonde haired fallen angel who's well known in New Age, when he appears, even the occultists are warned when this demon appears, stay at a distance because that stench will make you faint and fall to the ground. He stinks a lot. And this demon often cries complaints of how of his good old days in heaven and how unfair it was that God kicked him out. You get me? A holy angelic being that does the metaphysical transformation, you won't even smell much at all. But the fallen ones are filled with diseases. So when they transform into the metaphysical states, when they shapeshift, those diseases also become visible. So honest, those are two red flags. A sudden deep stench of feces, like a deep diarrhea smell that can make you faint, or burning ash or burning sulfur. If you're a believer walking power, that skinwalker wouldn't even dare to be around you. He'll be so terrified, he'll be running away, thinking, oh, no, 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 not over here. Now, some skinwalkers are so blunt, they even try to approach believers, but they always get burnt. Either they're holy angelic beings coming down from heaven and kicking their ass around, literally, or you have other demons intervening, saying, what the heck are you doing? You're putting us all in danger. So you have other demons beating him up for trying to do that, saying, what the heck are you approaching this female believer? Don't you know that the Holy Spirit lives inside of her? You want to get yourself burnt? You want us to get burnt, us to get kicked around again? So you may sometimes even other demons intervene and kick him around, saying, don't do this. And for those who manage to get close to the female believer, they'll get burnt, getting too close to her physical body because the Holy Spirit lives there. And the Holy Spirit is not happy with the misogynist filth of that fallen entity that Holy Spirit kicked out of heaven millennia ago. So, as a female believer, you shouldn't even fear anything, or you shouldn't have fear anyway. You shouldn't even fear anything about skinwalkers or whatever. Just know that some of them are blunt, but A, you're a firm believer. So the presence of the Holy Spirit already makes them malfunctioning around you. Simple as that. Now, church women who are not believers, just church women, some of them do get those men, those skinwalkers, and some don't even get involved with them. Yes, you have skinwalkers even going to church every Sunday. They have a wedlock at the government. So you think, oh, they're husband and wife, a Christian couple. No, it's a fallen angel that fakes being a human male, and you have a churchgoer who thinks she's a believer who is falling for the scam. Such things happen. Some may ask, well, shit, what about pregnancy, having children? Well, of course, there's no fertility over here at a skinwalker, but sometimes it can happen that the fake semen triggers the womb of the female to produce a fetus. In that case, either the baby is born and it's dead, it's just a corpse that's born, it's a stillborn baby, because was never a human being in there, or some of the spirit matter of the fallen angel remains stuck in the womb and it develops into a Nephilim. That can happen, but that's extremely rare. Extremely rare. Well led, I never said fallen angels could be human beings. Please watch the live stream from the start, please. Thank you very much. And let me tell you, um, this thing that skinwalkers are doing is quite dangerous because they can get their ass kicked by either other demons who try to stop saying don't do this, or they can get they're burnt by the Holy Spirit, or they can be kicked around by holy angelic beings intervene, but they do it anyway because why did they hate females so much? But here's the problem: if they hate females so much, why don't they stay away from women then? They hate females so much, but they insist in being in females' faces to hinder them. Talk about stupid. Don't worry about that. You can also watch it later and back. Look, there's not much to say about skinwalkers. They're pathetic losers who hate females because they don't want to face themselves. They thought they could kick around and molest the Heavenly Father. They thought they can force sodomy on the Heavenly Father. This is how far those creatures went. They were proven wrong. They refused to repent. And now they're roaming around the earth, being angry, upset, ready to fight. And one way they fight is by harassing human females when they see an opportunity, and often get their ass kicked either by other demons who try to stop them from doing stupid stuff or by holy angelic beings. But when Satan gives them consent to do it, they go full for the assignment. As simple as that. So that's why they do it. And sometimes, and this is something that happens a lot these days, you have women, so not even teenage girls going out on dates, because even teenagers are looking for sex partners these days, even though I hope teenagers are under good parental supervision when it comes to this, because teenagers are not that developed enough to make such long-term decisions. But anyway, you have teenagers, even teenage girls, 16, 17 years old. They go out on dates to meet a guy. Maybe they meet a guy at a convention or they meet a guy at a concert, whatever. And they are kissing with the guy and all of that. No actual no actual mating happens. But after that, they feel like someone's in their bedroom every night they go to sleep, but there's nobody physically there. Here's the thing: the skinwalker is now going in and out of the metaphysical state, and the skinwalker's literally in her room, and also with her following around everywhere she goes, and from time to time he just humps on her out of the blue. That's what you call the incubus. The incubus is the skinwalker who goes in and out of the metaphysical state just to hit a female locally. Most skinwalkers do not do the incubus thing. They just roam around. If they have opportunity, they have one-time humping encounters. I don't say sexual encounters, say humping encounters with females, often at nightclubs or at some of those festivals or whatever. So that's why certain places in the world are dangerous to go to. There are a lot of women going on holidays, having a girls' holiday with girls' nights out, and they end up encountering men. They have intense intercourse, and afterwards never hear of the men again. But here's the fact: because the humping uh, overloaded their nerve system, they become mentally addicted to the intercourse they had, not, to the humping they had with that creature. So even if later they're married with their husband and children, their mind keeps going back to that one guy, asking who's that guy. So it's done by those entities to make sure women are hindered in being wives and mothers and in being feminine role models for the community. That's it. You may ask Rashid, why doesn't Satan use those misogynist human males out there? Because those misogynist human males, they have something to lose. They don't want to go to prison when a woman cries rape on them, or they don't want to lose their job, whatever. But the skinwalkers, you think, hey, we're going to Lake of Fire anyway, so if we can just smash some of those females around and hinder them, hey, I get a pat on the back from Satan. Why not? This how they operate. Just understand. There's nothing to be worried nor afraid about with skinwalkers. Just understand the pattern, how it unfolds. Unlearn toxic expectations like, oh, Prince Charming or the one guy that fits all your needs and all that. Have realistic expectations of men. By the way, did I write this well? I don't know. Okay, I think it's like this. So when you have the right expectations, and if you have past trauma from your parents and you process that, then it's good. By the way, there's nothing wrong with talking to a stranger. Strangers are not enemies, but some strangers appear on a time when you're at your most vulnerable. And when someone appears at the time that you're the most vulnerable and they come, it's too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. Some may ask, Rashid, are skinwalkers also approaching men? Well, that happens, but Satan doesn't want that because Satan wants all human men for themselves. Satan is jealous of human males. Yes, Satan has this sodomite jealousy upon all human males. You hear me? Satan secretly wants to have intercourse with every human male. That's his deep, deep desire. Let me repeat it. Satan, that the chief cherub that run the heavens, that was kicked out, he has a deep longing to have intercourse and mating with all the men on the earth. He wants to be banged by all the men on the earth. He wants all the men of the earth to give their sexual strength to him. Satan, in short, is longing for the dicks of all men on the earth. That's Satan's deep desire. A desire that can never be met. Satan wants to swallow the sexual strength of every male on the earth. Hey, it sounds correct, but it is correct. This is what it is. Satan is the chief sodomite. So Satan does not allow just any other fallen angel to get so close to human males unless they have his consent to do so. Yes, because Satan thinks that he has the right to give consent to what happens to us. He doesn't. All right? So, about the metaphysical state, holy angelic beings just stayed for a little moment, maybe a few hours, whatever. But for the fallen ones who stay in this state for maybe weeks or years or whatever, they need to feed this state. How are they feeding it? Not only do they take moisture from the environment, the way they keep this masculine frame in the metaphysical is by drinking male, fresh male human blood. That's how they do it. So that's where the whole mythology of vampires come from. It's from skinwalkers who need to keep this metaphysical shape. That's where the whole thing of vampires come from. The first vampires were fallen angelic kings that abused this ability to rape women on the earth. But before they could, but for them to maintain this masculine frame, they had to feed off a fresh human male DNA. And that's how it happens today too. That's why from time to time you have those homeless people being found killed and there's no blood in their body. That's why you have some murder victims which blood was stolen. Now you know why. Mhm. Listen, ladies, you being feminine in a joyful, you being feminine, happy, and joyful way, it scares off these entities who hate females. Okay, so embrace your femininity, admit your need for emotional gratification, unlearn toxic expectations, and these losers won't even think of hindering you. And also understand the following: skinwalkers don't look that good in their fallen state. They don't. Actually, they look quite horrible. Yes, they can. Skinwalkers can drain animal blood too, fresh animal blood. They can do that too, but it's less effective because animals are not spirit beings, so their bloodstream is not that energized that of humans. Human male blood is the most energized of all. Human female blood is not really that energized, more soft, and it's not something that benefits them a lot to keep that male frame. So skinwalkers, they're horrible to look at. Okay, and if you don't have this ability yet to see the spirit world, be happy you don't have it, because you will see whole angelic beings here and there on the path of believers, but you also see a lot of stinking, filthy, sick entities walking around. Tell me, us, how can you take a physical blood and put it in that in a not physical beings? But the thing is, that physical blood, they take it in a metaphysical state. The metaphysical is when the the electric fluidity is close to the solidness of dust, so it can be received. This metaphysical state can receive something physical. It can. You only cannot overdo it. That's it. So, are there any questions about this? Please ask me. Oh, and there are quite some movies out there since the 1950s about sex with ghosts. You know what I mean? There are many movies out there. They're not that famous, but there are a lot of movies out there with a team having sex with ghosts. Why do you like making such movies? It's because this is the skinwalker crap that goes on out there. And ladies, listen, if you have female friends or female coworkers who like to talk about how their boyfriend does them good in bed and they have such amazing stories, quite intense, either they're overreacting and they're lying, or the guy they were with was a skinwalker. That's why the sex was so unnaturally intense that they're so overwhelmed by it. Listen, natural intercourse is community based and it's intertwined with psychological processes. If it's heading towards this and it looks like this, either the human male you're with is demon possessed or completely messed up, or you're not dealing with a human male to begin with. Can you see the spiritual to those spirits that can? Okay, here's one thing men do. This is how you can stop all skinwalkers from even coming near females in your environment. Motivate the men around you to be masculine. That's it. If the human males are masculine and they're looking after the females, then no skinwalk even dares to come within that harmony. That harmony will make them sick because they can't stand that harmony. And another thing, if you see a female and she's quite tired for days, but then okay, then you talk to her. Also, they should go to see a doctor or the hospital why you're so tired and said, well, I'm sleeping well. I'm not eating. I'm looking after my diet. But every time I meet with my boyfriend or it kind of goes rough, then ask about the boyfriend. Then he said, "Oh, I only see him once in the weekends because we both have full time jobs." Then you ask her, "But okay, but how come the guy is dedicated to his full time job, not dedicated to form a life with you? He wants to have sex with you, but not willing to form a life with you. What the heck is this?" Tell me about his past. Oh, he never talks about his family or his past. That's quite secretive. And I ask her, are you with a guy that's secretive? If you actually look out the females around you in a constructive way, no skinwalker even dares to be around there. Some women put themselves at risk by being loose in the streets, to say it softly. But if you get the idea that a human female around you has a skinwalker around her, just send intense peace around her. Command intense peace to surround her. When you do that, the skinwalker will fade away quickly. Maybe you do this and suddenly the neighbor tells you, my husband left me. He just ghosted me out of the blue. Or one of your friends may tell you, my boyfriend doesn't answer anymore. I try to look for him, but I can't find him. Now you know what happened. Oh Lord, the Lord is good. God is good. So, are there more questions about this? I know this is a heavy topic. And remember what I said. The fluids that are released during paranormal humping is moisture that's polluted that they've withdrawn from the environment. So, ladies, if in the past listen, if you think you might have had a skinwalker in your past, then if the sweat smelled like burning sulfur or like a deep stench of feces, or if the semen he checked into you was like a thick pudding uh, that kind of flooded you, then guess what? That was likely a stinking demon. If it happened, stop blaming yourself. Stop looking down on yourself. It happened. Let it go. Okay? Let it go. And besides letting it go, also going to therapy with fellow believers because a lot of worldly psychologists won't understand this. They will call you crazy. But just do what you have to do so you can move on in the here and now. Is this clear onto you? Yes, Joanne, that's true. It's easy for them to manifest on coastal areas. And by the way, a lot of those skinwalkers also called mermen, not mermaids, but mermen. Because a lot of skinwalkers they hang around coastal areas or in rivers because they need to suck water somewhere to make that appearance stay. All right, but remember, they're not human men. They have with their for example, I'm talking to you now. I don't have to regulate every muscle movement of my body. I don't have to manage my body language. It's natural. It's close by itself. Skinwalkers have to regulate everything with their own mind. It's quite exhausting. That's why skinwalkers often love to appear and disappear. They don't like publicity too much because too much publicity and especially people taking pictures may expose them. Sometimes you take a picture of a group of people and I notice that one of the individuals look quite weird and think, whoa, why did I take this picture? And this guy looks so deformed with such big eyes. Why are his eyes pitch black like that? And it doesn't have anyone else. How come the camera only malfunctions with him? Now you know either the guy is demon possessed or he's not a human male at all. Simple as that. Also, abundant place in forest. If there's a water nearby, like a brook or a pond, that's also good for them so that they can keep their stupid disguise. Okay, and look, I don't like showing how skinwalkers look like in the here and now because I don't really want to give these stupid creatures too much attention. Absolutely not. It's only for education's sake that I'm doing this. Um, so I'm checking on where I left some I want to show at least two images and that's it. I don't want to give show too much of how they look like in the original state because they're not really that important to be honest. But okay, I'm going to share the screen soon to show it to you. But meanwhile, ask your questions. Someone says it's easy to know if someone is demon possessed. I made live streams about that. Um, but anyway, if you have a dog in your house as a pet, the dog will immediately see. The dog will see through the disguise. The dog will see the creature for what he really is. So that's why some people have dogs. So because the dog is not a protector, but the dog can clearly see what's going on. All right. So let me check. I want to show you just these three over here. Copy. Just hold on for everyone. Let me. Yeah. Then I can share them again. And again, did you see me showing any scary face when I talked about this? Absolutely not. Oh, and by the way, there are some skinwalkers walking around here in The Hague. Somehow they pretend that they don't see me. Well, yeah. So likely there are some females around here living with skinwalkers. But here's the thing, there are red flags when you're dealing with a skinwalker that you'll notice it's not natural. So those women eventually they're just too much into escapism. That's why they don't notice what goes on. All right. Okay, let me share the screen again with you to see how some of those skinwalkers look like naturally. Just three images, just so that you have an idea of what for ugly men you're dealing with. Share a screen. All right. Let me know if you can see the screen. Can you all see it? Let me know. All right. This is how common skinwalkers look like. Those are the fallen angels who were just commoners in heaven without any rank or whatever. This, what the heck? No, I only have to show one. This is a fallen seraph, a fallen seraphim. You see, he has six wings, a fallen seraph. So, yes, some are fallen angels with rank also. I remember I told you they were all legionaries, but sometimes you have some of the demon overlords becoming skinwalkers themselves because they think, F this, I want out. But there's no way out for them. And by the way, this is who we call Molech. You know that entity that they call Molech that they used to used to murder children in ovens for? Well, this is Molech right over here. You hear me? You ever wonder who the famous Molech demon is? Well, this is him right over here in an angry stare with a weapon ready to attack. Who are you going to attack, Joker? Get out of here. Oh, and by the way, This entity is quite popular in the Netherlands, I figured out. They even made a movie called Molech. In Dutch, you say Moloch instead of Molech. This is him over here. Ugly, fallen seraphim. Get hell out of here. Okay. And then this is some illustration you can find online. This is Beelzebub. He's the fallen angel that revolted against Satan after they were kicked out of heaven. Yes, some of them are dark, some of them are light skinned. They don't actually have a skin, just a shape. Just so you know, this is how some of them look like in the net without in the original ugly form. Yep, and they love going around naked for some reason. But anyway, they're sodomites. So please, skinwalkers are nothing impressive. All right? So don't be afraid or whatever of those creatures. All right? Do they shapeshift too, like to look more attractive to females? Well, they kind of change their appearance a little bit to appear attractive. But even when they do that, it doesn't change the fact that it's not a human presence over there. You will notice that simple as that. Dion, any man you encounter, human male, has a physical consequence. You encounter a man, and for example, when you're tongue kissing him, his tongue is so wild and so long, unnaturally out. Or if you notice he never sweats, out. Or there is a medical condition which you don't sweat, so called, but sweating is natural. If you notice that the guy never blinks or only blinks once in a half hour, whatever, get out. If the eyes are so static, penetrating you, they don't move like a natural human eyes, get out. If the voice suddenly changes, because sometimes, because they have to morph their voice when they're communicating with you. Sometimes the voice they accidentally talk with their own ugly voice and they sound very hard or sound very high. If that suddenly happens, get out. Or if a guy looks like he's overweight, but he walks around as if there's no body weight on him, that goes against the physical realm. Get out of there. If the guy stands in front of a mirror, but there's not a clear mirror reflection back, get out. Or if he's walking outside and there's not really a corresponding shadow with the lights, get out. There are always signs that there's not a physical presence over there. But still, there are women who ignore all the red flags because they're so addicted to the dopamine high that the humping gives them. Are some celebrity skinwalkers? I have some suspects who I think are skinwalkers, but I'm not going to mention them over here. How often they need to be energized, have blood? That depends on how long they stay. If they only stay that state for a week, they might not need that much blood, maybe a few centiliters, whatever. But if they want to stay for like a few months, they need a few liters of blood, like maybe 8, 9 liters. By the way, a human being assists around 5 to 6 liters of blood, so they'll have to suck out a lot of men. Well, it depends how long they stay and how good the performance is. Can they get blood from animals? All that, yes. Sometimes they shapeshift into the form of mosquitoes and they kind of suck the blood out of people. So you may wake up and you have all those mosquito bites all over you. But they just think the window was closed. And you have all the mosquito bites all over you, even in places under the blanket where no mosquito could come. Well, such things are done by skinwalkers. They suck little piece of blood here and there, just to make sure they can keep their shape. That's it. So that is it about those skinwalkers who paranormally hump, just to hinder females from being productive for their local communities. And who are the women who are most likely to be targeted by skinwalkers? Well, the feminist, independent female with who believes in girl power, or all of that, is likely, or the woman who is kind of emotionally neglected and she's kind of looking for companionship in all by herself, those are the types who are most likely to be caught on. But especially women who love their careers and will love to be successful in making money, all of that, they don't have much time to spend with their boyfriends or husbands, so they're more likely to encounter men who fit their shadow. And all those men are not what they are. Some of those skinwalkers even get jobs for a little while. Maybe it's a cleaner at work over there, and he cleans very well. But when you actually want to look into the guy, you can't find anything about him. Or maybe there was this, how do I say, not a cleaner, but maybe there was this a security guard somewhere, and he always looked quite weird. Some of them have jobs because the employer is a warlock who helps that demon out. But often those skinwalkers have their own agencies and they have their own churches. Yes, they have their own churches also, and they have their own employers, which are warlocks, who give them a disguise. So doing a background check on people is never a wrong thing. No, there's no female like this. Why? Because all angelic beings are male. Now you have from the Nephilim, you have a female counterpart, but from the angelic beings, they're all male. Now some skinwalkers try to take on a female shape, but listen, imitating a human male shape is already quite complex and quite exhausting to do. A female shape is far more complex than a male shape because you have to incorporate a softness in how you operate, and that's something that's quite difficult for them to do. But rarely it happens. Semen retention, it's semen retention. I heard of it. It's this movement in which men want to stop masturbating and watching porn in order to focus their sexual strength on better things. Absolutely. Okay, but that is what sexually healthy men do anyway, using their sexual strength to build a community. Your sexual strength as a man is designed to build a community, whether in a polygamous or homogeneous setting, or whether you are single and you are motivated the men, or you're being a big brother figure to the females, whatever. Your sexual strength is there to build and maintain your community. Sexual male strength is there to build and maintain a community. Female sexuality is to soften and beautify the community. So both have their role. Okay? The men build and sustain, the females extend and decorate. They both have their roles that need to be fulfilled. Someone asks, can a female Nephilim successfully have sex with a human? Well, if the female Nephilim is still in her body, she can do it. But it's rare to encounter female Nephilim, quite rare. Well, let me tell you, the way they look is because of their crimes and their bitterness against their Heavenly Father. That made them age and look so ugly and so weird. So of course their behavior is going to be off too when you're around them. Is it possible to impregnate a Jezebel? I keep having experiences having that where they took my seat in the spirit realm, feel like they produce children. Listen, I know there are people saying that, oh, they can steal your semen in your sleep, which is not possible. Your semen needs to be taken physically from you. So even if they would steal your semen from you and impregnate someone with it, that baby will be a human being because it's a human seed. You can't produce a demon with human seed. Comes from men. It's not possible. So don't worry about that. All right. Now there are men who had sex with a female Nephilim and they give birth to a human child that's defective in the DNA. That can happen, but even that's a rare occurrence these days. All right. All right. In the rare case of a man, what type kind of man would they target? A man who has potential for the community. I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about those monk mode movements, all those red pill and all of that. I've spoken all of that before in previous live streams. What you need to do is focus on Christ and becoming um, stakeholders for Christ in your community. Amen. Someone asks, can a warlock send skinwalkers to you? Even witches can send them on to you. So, hey, and this happens. It happens in the black community. Okay. I don't know where this happens amongst Europeans or Asians or Arabs or whatever, but this happens in the black community. Sometimes some black women are so jealous of another black woman that they go to some witch doctor and they call upon a skinwalker to go after a woman. For example, you can be single, finishing college, and you have a few female friends of yours, which were just like you, black, and they suddenly you meet this guy, and this guy is overwhelming you, and then your friends tell you, "Wow, the guy is amazing, great, great." Those women were the ones sending a skinwalker after you. They know it's a skinwalker, not a human being, and they know you're going to face a big surprise later on. Sometimes black witches send skinwalkers after other black women just to hinder them. It's a fucked up thing, but it happens. I don't know if European women do this to other European women. It may be the case, but I'm not that familiar with the jealousy of white women towards other white women. I'm not that familiar with it, so I don't know if they go that far to do that. But likely it does happen. Hey, hey, there are black witches who send skinwalkers after other black women, and the skinwalk ends up raping those women and harass them, even at work and all of that. So when it comes to domestic, when it comes to household wickedness, the black community has a lot of it. Okay. Yes. So sometimes they're sent by witches. And those same witch will send on to you going to ask you, "Hey girl, how are you doing? Oh, you met the new guy, tell me all about them." They know that they send a demon after you just to hinder you. Oh Lord. They can hinder you from getting pregnant, hinder you from starting a family, hinder you from being good to the community. That's what they do. Do they do that a lot in Curacao? Well, I know for examples when it happened. I'm not going to mention names or tell the full story, but there were times on amongst Curaçaoan black women, because you also have Curacao is a black population in general, but you have some whites and others over there too. There are some of the black Curaçaoan women I heard about that they did this to another woman. They were bitching, complaining, "Oh, this woman thinks she's everything, man. I sent a man to her. I I sent a ghost to her." Yeah, they do such stuff. You can even go to some of those places in Curacao or even in the Netherlands, I believe in Rotterdam, and you can purchase books how to summon our skinwalker. Oh, I even believe on YouTube you have certain spells how to summon a skinwalker. I don't know why YouTube allows this on. This is quite dangerous. So, oh, and by the way, ladies, one more thing. One more thing. Stop going to those um uh how to say it, just stop telling all the women in your life your good news, because if they can't send a skinwalker to rape you or molest you, they will send a skinwalker around you just to hinder you. It's all this. It's a public thing to do. Yes, women who are envious and jealous can be quite cruel. Their cruelty has no off switch. Mhm. Does the question relate to this topic? I already explained Southern text in another live stream and in other videos, so watch those. I explain it often. Well, and here's a before I close the live stream, I need to inform you about one more thing. And special ladies, listen to me. And you men, if you have daughters or nieces, whatever, pay attention to this. Those skinwalkers, sometimes they murder women, actually take their lives. During that humping shit that they're doing, When the woman has her orgasm, there's a window of opportunity for 2 minutes when the woman is recharging physically that they can actually suck the life out of her by choking her physically. Some women get murdered by those skinwalkers. But if a woman is murdered and the police comes, they will see she's injured, but the injuries don't match a physical attack. So they either say it's a natural death, or they may say it's a suicide, or sometimes they actually say it's homicide, but they can never find out who did it. And then there are times a woman disappears and her body is never found. Because sometimes those skinwalkers go too far in the humping, they end up killing the woman. Remember, they have no restraints because they're not sexual beings. They're just doing something unnatural to imitate human sexuality just to hinder the female. Sometimes the humping is too intense for the woman, all those shocks that she ends up having a heart attack and dying, whatever. What happens when a skinwalker actually kills a woman? That body needs to be dealt with. Now, the shadow government has special forces of witches. There's special covens out there, here and there. So, and this is how it works. Those covens of witches, they know that skinwalkers roam around there. And they know that every summer there are women coming there to the beach to sit on the bikini on the beach, all of that. So those witches know that there are going to be skinwalkers there harassing, maybe killing some of the women. So those witches, they know that they can see the skinwalkers walk around. And the witches pay attention to the public. And the witches even know which woman the skinwalkers are after. So let's say now you go to Spain or let's say go to Ibiza for a holiday, you and a female friend, and you have some of those local women being so kind, so soft towards you. You feel so warm by them. Those can be a special unit of covens to minister to the skinwalkers. What you don't know is that some of the skinwalkers inform the witches, oh, you see that woman over there that came from Canada? I'm onto her. So the witch know, okay, then don't worry. So the women begin to talk to you and talk to you a lot to distract you. And then Skinwalker makes a move on you suddenly. Or they will say, hey, Jenny, you see the guy over there? The guy's looking at you. Isn't he cute? Yeah, he's cute. Just talk to him. Talk to him. It's a Skinwalker. Okay. And then after the humping happens and maybe you die that night, those same women will call upon a local gang, a street gang, and they will take away your body. Either your body ends up organ harvested, or they chop it originally into pieces and throw it in a river, whatever, and nobody hears from you anymore. Such things happen. Well, there are cases of women who could have been killed by a skinwalker, because of course you don't know directly if they were killed by a skinwalker because it's being covered up and you don't get all the information from the police files. But there are some cases out there that which I suspect, you know what, this may be a skinwalker thing over here. If a woman dies at the hand of a skinwalker, the local witches take care of the body, nobody finds her. That's it. So, yes, there are crazy females on the earth across all ethnicities who are willing to get a pat on the back by Satan for helping out their skinwalking brothers. That's how they see them. They see the skinwalkers as their brothers. Let them go to the lake of fire and see how their brothers are going to treat them. But anyway, um, so now you know that also when you go on a holiday or you go to an event, ladies, if you see women being too welcoming to you, watch out. Just watch out. Because that's a sign that they either try to lure you into a cult, or there's a skinwalker there already after you and just making it easy for the skinwalker. Yes, it happens. Well, some I says user street or rare. It depends where you are. I mean, for example, if you are in, let's say, the west coast of the United States, for example, or you are in the shores of Mexico or Central America, it happens more often, for sure. If you are, let's say, in Poland, or let's say you're in Hungary, or maybe even Finland, whatever, nah, not that much. You know what I mean? It depends on where you are. There are hotspots of them. And often they're in place where they worship mermaids. If you find a location where they worship mermaids, that's where skinwalkers love to be. Because a lot of mermaids they hide in the seas and the oceans if they're not on the land. So that's why. Well, lad, that's another topic that I'm not going to discuss over here. I have other live streams discussing that. Um, so it's only huge in areas where they worship mermaids. The Hague and the Dutch province Zeeland, because Zeeland is a place to watch out. All right. All right. So Japan is also big, but Japanese don't talk about it. They pretend they play stupid. So in some places quite rare, but Brazil. Hey, listen, I'm talking to men right now. Some of you brothers think, oh, let me go to Brazil for holiday. There's so many beautiful women with big asses over there. Um, Beware, please. You want to go there for a big ass? You may get involved with a tranny ass, which is a man's ass with silicones. There's one thing that can happen. Or in a rare case, a skinwalker pretends to be a female, you'll die. Please. Yes, Zealand. I just showed Anna how skinwalkers look like in their original state, and I told you in their metaphysical state, they kind of look similar to their own state, but in a more refined way. Any other countries to avoid going? Well, as a believer, you can go anywhere, don't get me wrong. But just in certain areas, more things tend to happen. So, India, some places in India, some some villages at the coast in India, watch out with them too. Because sometimes some students like to go to India for yeah, for an exchange to get some experience. Well, watch out the type of experience you're going to get over there. Mhm. So yes, that's all that needs to be said here about this topic. And yes, you have special units, coffins out there helping the skinwalkers. So the women on getting women raped and victimized by these entities, yes. But in your face, they're the sweetest women you'll ever know. So watch out, ladies. Watch out. Zen and Soul Dolls. I'll look into that after this live stream. Can it be skinwalkers in Africa? Of course, the skinwalkers in Africa, but in Africa, it's quite difficult for them to get away with it because in Africa, in general, they are aware of those things. So even the pagans are aware. So Africa, it does happen, but quite rarely. But it does happen in some key locations. For example, in Lagos, in Nigeria, we have a big movement of worshiping mermaids. Of course, they're over there. Some places in Senegal, there may be also, but they're not everywhere. They're not everywhere. Only in locations where they do mermaid worship. That's where they are the most. I don't know about Ireland, so I'm not familiar with Ireland in that area. Ireland is surrounded by the sea, and there are many lakes over there. So of course there likely are there's some over there. But even if there are a lot over there, as a believer, you know what to do about it to get other male believers. And female believers can also minister unto the other females and get them alerts too. And by female believers can be female role models to show women to walk into femininity, because the more women walk in femininity, the less skinwalkers can do. Skinwalkers can't just go after any woman. Only women who are frustrated in their femininity, only them can be targeted by them. Mhm. Good, Amber. Good that you shot that creep down. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So would it also be near the harbor? Well, those sea lodges, as they call them, are often located at the harbor or at one of those beaches nearby. Well, Or do you mean the Dutch harbor, Tammy? I don't think the harbor of Rotterdam has that many skinwalkers because mostly there are men over there, and men are not that fond of just looking at another man. So it's more near the city in Rotterdam, somewhere you may find some walking around. So, but again, this is something that can easily be shut down easily. But just beware, Rotterdam has some walking around, so just beware. By the way, the closer you are to the sea, the more of them you find. The further away you are from the sea, the harder it is. All right. Let's see if I miss any other question over here. All right. I'm going to stop this live stream now. I don't want to make it too long for you. And please don't have nightmares about those stupid creatures, please. They're nothing uh, important. Someone said, I don't like to think about skinwalkers because it could attract them. No, that's fear. And that's the attitude that we need to unlearn. Oh, we can't think or talk about something because it attracts them. I'm sorry, if you don't address something, then how can you resolve it? Oh, I can't think about something because it may attract the danger. No, no, you need to address it. And once you address it in a proper way, it's over with. Can you open your spirit sense through drugs? Yes, you can, but it's not the topic of this live stream. Do they know themselves they are a creep? What do you think? They're fallen angels. Of course, you know they're a creep. Of course, they know they are. They know they're doomed. So they just want more people in their pity party. That's it. They just want more people in the pity party. They just want people to feel sorry for them. Oh, look at us. God kicked us out because we don't agree with that stupid creature called the female. They have all those females all over the place, and we, oh my God, just want you to feel sorry for them. No, I don't. So please, be sexually healthy, do the will of Heavenly Father, and skinwalkers will be pushing to the sea or wherever they're gathering so they can keep their pity party over there. All right? Sexual intercourse is meant for human beings under God's conditions for there to be life and abundance in the community. It's not something that should be hijacked by fallen angels who are sodomites who want to violate women just to so they don't want to because they want to face themselves because they don't want to face themselves. Okay, and soon when Jesus comes back, we're going to see all the skinwalkers being arrested by the whole angelic beings. When Jesus comes back in front of us, they're going to arrest all those skinwalkers. You become open to evil spirits anytime you insist on the wrong way of thinking. Absolutely. Now, doing drugs can make you more vulnerable to evil spirits, but it's your thinking that matters. All right. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to make a phone call very quickly. Hey, I'm glad you were all here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and please do not, do not esteem those creatures. Esteem the Heavenly Father and esteem one another. Be at peace.